in line with what they studied. But when you come back to Nigeria, you see these foreign nationals with less qualifications hold very key jobs in the country. And the Nigerian content development and monitoring board is supposed to ensure that this is not the case. So I'd like to know what you're doing.
Your question speaks to our expatriate quota management system. Now, under the expatriate quota management system, we are required to only approve expatriate positions where there are no Nigerians that can occupy the position. Now, what we do is we have put in place a system where the applicant has to advertise that this vacancy exists, and then he receives applications and then goes through the regular evaluation and assessment process. NCDMB is involved in that process just to make sure that they follow the right procedure for hiring. Now, if we establish that there are no Nigerians that meet the requirements based on the person's specification in the adverts, we are obliged to grant an expatriate quota approval. Now, it comes with two conditions. One is employment commitments, and two, you have to have 2 understudies. The expectation is that after a maximum of 4 years, the understudies should have honed their skills to be able to occupy that position. And we're monitoring that jealously. So I'm not sure if those expatriates that you are referring to are actually oil and gas related, or they're actually working in Nigeria through these legitimate channels. However, it's important for us to bring all these discussions so that we continuously improve our monitoring system to make sure that only approved and qualified expatriates are allowed to operate in Nigeria.
The Ministry of Interior, the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, and the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, wish to caution operators of the oil and gas industry against engaging manpower supply companies to illegally source expatriates. Permits issued to manpower companies are strictly for the supply of Nigerian professionals only. Companies seeking to engage expatriates must obtain approvals from NCDMB before applying for expatriate quota, temporary work permit, or order entry permits from Ministry of Interior, the Nigerian Immigration Service, or other agencies of government, while adhering to set guidelines and requirements. NCDMB has intensified monitoring activities, and defaulting companies will face sanctions and penalties as specified in the Immigration Act 2015, Immigration Regulation 2017, as well as the Norgic Act. For further inquiries, please visit www.ncdmb.gov.ng and www.norgicjqs.gov.ng. Signed, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Executive Secretary, NCDMB, Director/CEO, Department of Petroleum Resources.
The act that set up the board had 2 key parts, one of which was to develop local capacities and capabilities. My question is, how many local people from the areas concerned have been trained in the oil and gas industry? Not vocational or any of those lower jobs, but the actual oil and gas industry skills. And if you haven't done that, when do you plan to do that? Apart from that, have you done any reassessment of your approach to the plan to assist the people?
Training. So what I presented was about 1,600 trainees, beneficiaries. So that is the data that we have as at 2019. Then the other question was about how do we plan to recalibrate our interventions? So NCDMB in 2017, we have developed a 10-year strategic roadmap where we said we were going to grow local content from 26% in 2017 to 70% in 2027. So we have a program to continuously review that strategy. Like I mentioned earlier, even the Act itself is currently being reviewed, and it has the intention of looking at the gaps that have existed, and then also the challenges that we faced in the last 10 years. And then all that will be brought together to see how we can have an improved legal instrument for local content implementation.
So in the area of research and development, sir, do you have any provision for supporting local efforts in developing, for example, local spare parts, fast-running parts, and things like that? Do you have any avenue of rendering support, maybe financially in the area of funding, not for people in the Niger Delta, but maybe for the Nigerian Army, for instance?
Funding for R&D, yes, R&D is not restricted to Niger Delta. Funding is cut across the following thematic areas. It's around HSC, engineering, technology, geophysical and geotechnical studies. So, yes, if we have a proposal that is connected to the oil and gas value chain, we can have a discussion. So all we need is a proposal. We have a checklist for evaluation. So because our mandate is oil and gas, it has to be something that can be applied in the industry, because the involvement of different stakeholders, we can better manage it if it is within our industry, because it requires a lot of things beyond getting the patents, the tab. You also need to do a prototype. When you develop the prototype, you need to take it to the field for trials. Now, within our industry, we can regulate, we can control, and encourage people to allow for those testing to happen.
In his comments, the Deputy Commandant and Director of Studies, Nigerian Defense College, Major General E.G. Ode, underscored the need for effective collaboration between the defense industry and the oil and gas industry. The Course 28 comprises of senior military officers drawn from the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Others include civilians and officers from paramilitary and security agencies, as well as international participants. After more than 5 decades of the oil exploration in Nigeria, comes a war that is bringing together industry majors, investors, and the states in the oil and gas corridor of Nigeria, and cementing access to oil fields for higher productivity, to build capacities in Nigeria, to support increased investment in the industry, to build local capacity and competencies, to create linkages to other sectors of the national economy, to boost industry contributions to the growth of our national gross domestic product, increasing Nigerian content in the oil and gas industry. Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, building local capacities in the oil and gas industry.
And that's all we have for you this week. Thanks for watching. And remember, the ideal local content penetration is not a sprint, but a marathon that requires focus and tenacity to ensure its implementation. Your health is in your hands, so wash them regularly. Please maintain physical distance and wear your face mask in public places. Until next week, I am Priya Baka.
Is NTA International.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet, and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Because I know we're not the only country facing this, and America has had this drug problem for a very long time, and they are still in it. So, what exactly do you think we will do differently?
First of all, we have benefited within the committee itself, because the committee has public-private membership, and so we've taken advantage. Then the UNODC, United Nations Office, Drug and Crime, the member of the committee will learn tremendously from that committee because they have a wide array of involvement in these matters. We've taken advantage of that. But more to the point is that we had to think out of the box. In this committee, we're going to bring innovative strategies that have not been tried before in Nigeria, that we are confident that once adopted and implemented, this situation will be resolved.
Now, when you were in Lagos, you tackled something like this, but it was on a smaller scale because it was just a state. Now it's the 36 states. Do you think this experience that you have was one of the reasons why you were invited to be a member of the committee?
I honestly do not know if this was one of the considerations for my appointments, but that experience has encouraged me in this work because we effectively treated, rehabilitated thousands of street urchins, boys and girls, and so on, to be good boys and girls and to be back to responsible and respectable members of the community, honored members of the society, and so on. In Lagos, the situation was less to do with the supply reduction because fortunately at that time, I think it was General Bamei, late, who was head of the NDLEA, they were up and about as far as supply reduction was concerned. So we faced as a state government the demand reductions, took charge of these youths through the rehab processes. After the rehabilitation, we gave them skills, and then we gave them livelihood by some take-off grants. It's not enough. You must remember that you teach them skills, how to tailor, how to do this, how to do that, and so on, and then set them off. They will come back because they need little capital to set up, without which they will come back. So we set them up properly, and the rest is history. So what happened in Lagos, to my mind, is a good sort of take-off point in terms of what to do with the drug addicts. But as you know, we are talking of a larger proportion in Nigeria who have not yet started taking drugs. We have to pay consideration to that. Yes, we have the drug addicts, we have the drug users. My view is different. The drug users are separate. And the drug addicts are those that cannot do without it. That you could use drug maybe through trials, fund seeking, and so on, but not yet addicted to it. So that's as far as that is concerned. 1 in 5 drug users are addicts in Nigeria. We have to keep that statistics aside. But the key point I'm trying to raise here is the preventive action. If there are 15 million Nigerians who are using drugs between the ages, I think, of 15 and 64, it means there are like 170 million that are not. So we have to face that with equal, if not more, vigor, so that they don't cross the line and start being part of the drug trafficking populace. If we don't face that, it will be like putting water into a basket because we are treating these ones and new entrants are coming. So the strategy that we are conferring will encompass the preventive as well as the treatment and rehab, and of course the supply reduction.
We're going on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue this discussion.
This little town is Daura, a town and local government area in Katsina State, northern Nigeria. ABF Maternity Complex, as it is fondly called, was built from scratch in under 6 months. Everything a modern maternity ward should have is available here. Since then, it has been serving the interest of people from the state and neighboring states, and even a country. A 50-bed capacity maternal and children clinic, built and equipped by the Aisha Buhari Foundation in Daura, Katsina State.
What Her Excellency did was to donate a full maternity complex, including on the infrastructure and all the equipment that is required to run a standard maternity complex. It has the outpatient section for antenatal with the laboratory attached to it, with the pharmacy, with the consulting rooms. It has the maternity section, the line-in ward for women in labor, the delivery room, and a maternity theater that is adjacent to it. And it also has a neonatal section. All of these sections that I mentioned are fully furnished and equipped to standard.
Aisha, uwar gidan shugaban ƙasa, uwar gidanmu, uwar uban ɗakinmu, ta yi daidai, ta kyauta, mun gode mata. Muna fata ministoci da kawo mana gautaccen asibitin haihuwa da jarirai wanda yake sai dai a ƙasashen waje ake da irinsa. Ta kawo kayan aiki iri daban-daban na haihuwa da na jarirai a wannan asibiti wanda tabbas ta haka mu Daurawa mata da maza mun gode da cin arzikin da muka yi na ɗanmu da take auren ɗanmu ta mana wannan abu.
Muna matuƙar farin ciki da Allah ya ba mu ikon aka mana wannan asibiti a nan garin Daura. Ba abin da za mu ce a madan sai Allah ya saka mata da alkhairi. Mutane suna ta yawan godiya akan wannan asibitin da madan ta mana. Wallahi asibiti mu kan ba mu fita waje ba idan mu ya buɗe muka je garurruka, amma sai mu ce ma mu duk Najeriya ba asibiti kamar wannan. Yadda aka kawo kayan aiki a nan, aka ƙayata asibitin nan ake taimakawa talakawa. Mutum ne zai kawo feshin baya da ko sisi, za a kalli feshin ɗin shi, idan larurar da ta same shi baya da kuɗin da zai magani, za a mai magani a nan kyauta ba tare da ya kashe ko sisin shi ba. Za a ba shi abinci, a kula da lafiyar shi da har wanda yake jiye shi. Mutane da yawa suna ta yawan godiya, gaskiya ba mu da matsala a asibitin nan.
Modern maternity that has been gracefully built for us by Her Excellency, the wife of the President, Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari. Based on what we have earlier, this is a big addition to our infrastructure.
On behalf of the board, management, and in fact the entire Adamawa State citizens, we will want to appreciate her. She has done so much. This will impact on women's health in general.
This maternity home will serve everyone. It will help to transform lives. It will help to cure people. I think that economic development sits better with good healthcare delivery system. I, as the founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, was felt privileged and honored to commission this great maternity project in Yola on the 11th of June 2019.
You're welcome back to the program, and we're still talking to Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired, on the challenges of drugs in the country. What clear solutions can you give to arrest this situation?
Of course, the solutions will be in our reports, which I will not preempt. But I will give some hints on how we are working. Key is to give equal measure to the control of or reduction of supply of drugs, both from abroad and those that are manufactured in Nigeria. You know, even methamphetamines, they have labs in Nigeria now, the cannabis plantations and the pharmaceuticals and so on and so forth. So we have to strengthen those agencies that are enforcement agencies as far as the supply reduction is concerned. They have to track down the barons. The laws have to be strengthened. There has to be intelligence-led operations. We have to be well-funded, these institutions, so that they face it. And the penalties must be of sufficient magnitude to deter these criminals. So that's one aspect. Then we have to face equally the demand reduction, where government has a very important role to play in terms of setting up treatment, rehab facilities that are affordable. In our own case, we even think the treatment could be free, if possible, like the matter of AIDS, because this is a crisis and we have to really face it. We have to look at what are the roles and responsibilities of parenting as family. What are the communities? What are their responsibilities? How do they go about it? What about the school system? Certainly, we know that now drug abuse has started in primary schools. Therefore, we have to put in the curriculum now, from primary school, secondary, up to tertiary. What of the religious bodies, religious organizations? You know, Nigerians are quite religious. They listen to their pastors and imams. They listen. So some of these are the areas that we are looking at, that we have to find ways for them to continue to play a very prominent role in sensitizing advocacy to make sure that people stay out of drugs and those that are taking will be treated. Now, we visited maybe 20 states. You will be surprised. A very few number have rehab centers. A whole state does not have a rehabilitation center. Some have one, some have two. We've come out with recommendations on how many we think there ought to be. We've looked at some of the designs of what they ought to be. We've looked at the whole matter of the pharmaceuticals stores in the country, the licensing of it. We have over 1 million patent medicine stores that do not have proper registration and that they are selling what they ought not be selling. Some of them are even mini hospitals with beds, giving drips, giving sophisticated medications. So there's a wide array of areas that we have touched with recommendations. All those will be in the reports.
But how did we go from being a transit nation to a user nation? I think this happened in the space of maybe 5 years.
Yes, different theories have been positioned. But one of the theories that has not been exploited is because we received a lot of support from some of the international organizations against trafficking, transiting, that is. You import through Nigeria to export maybe to Europe, to the United States, and now it's blocked, and the stuff is here. What do you do with it? You have to get rid of it. You have to sell it. This one critical area that has not been examined, and of course the lucrative business. And there's a market, especially cannabis. 10 million Nigerians. And for somebody to actually think we should grow it and sell.
I was going to come to that.
That's another interesting question. But that is actually what has happened within this period. From around 2013, the efforts was strengthened to control the movement at the ports. You couldn't export, so you have to consume it. And because the relevant agencies were not sufficiently strengthened and motivated to deal with it, these things kept slipping through. But I'm happy to say, certainly, even though there are still deficiencies and there's need for greater support and funding, the NGLA, Customs, NAFDAC have intensified their efforts. And if you look at it, some of the opioids, particularly tramadol, which is the most prominent, has been severely curtailed. It's scarce, very expensive, and this is the way to go. And we will continue to push for steps to support these agencies. And some of these steps that we are going to bring out in our report will be novel, will be innovative on how to coordinate the activities.
Now, a lot of countries recently have begun to legalize marijuana. I think America for medicinal purposes, America, I think Canada, and recently I think Great Britain. How do you think that's going to affect the usage in this country?
We must not go even close to it. Now, we in the committee have studied the prevalence of some of these approvals. It's not like the American government, it's just a few states. And in those states, we have also discovered that there are 3 times more hospital admissions from the use of, cannabis. Because one thing to grow it and extract whatever, but what do you do with the carcass, with the main thing? How do you control that? Now that's a big problem. We're not as we are now, we're having great difficulty controlling it. So the question of our getting into it is out of the question, in our opinion.
So, what call do you have for people who abuse drugs?
To quit. Actually, those who use drugs themselves know that they're harming their bodies. Anything that will alter your behavior, deform your brain, be a threat to society itself, the productivity is down, the health challenges and so on, you're harming yourself, and something that can lead to death, you stop it. And this is the call that we make in the committee: say no to drugs. Quit while you can, because once you get hooked to it, it becomes a major problem. So that is the call. And we believe that with the efforts that would be introduced soon, as I said, we are confident that this matter will be resolved.
Thank you very much. And that's all we have for you on the program today. And we have been talking to Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired, the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on the Elimination of Drug Abuse in the country. Thank you very much, General.
Thank you.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith on the floor of the sports parliament. Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA. Keep a date with the parliamentarians.
The eyes have it.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Olele Adéọba ni òun ló wá báyìí èyí báyìí ìdà.
Nigeria is a country that is known internationally for its cultural treasures and artifacts. It is therefore not surprising that most rock arts are found in some of the communities. Moreover, Nigeria's society reflects the rich cultural heritage which dates back to more than 2,000 years ago.
I can only tell you what I was told. The story said it was warrior that made that imprint, the petroglyphs, on the rock. The imprint does not say something specific. If you look at it, you see one representing maybe crown. But if you look at the one that represents crown, it will look more of a mast. Because the man that told us the story, the man said he was told the story by his grandfather.
This is Igbaraoke, the headquarters of Ifedore local government area of Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, and the hosts to one of the wonders of nature in the country, the petroglyphs. The petroglyphs in Igbaraoke was declared a national monument by the federal government through the Federal Antiquities Department on March 1963. Petroglyphs are simply ancient carvings, paintings or drawings directly on a rock surface. In Nigeria, there are other known petroglyphs collections like Ikom Monolith in Cross River State and Burning Kudu Rock Art in Jigawa State that are being scientifically studied and efforts made to preserve them. The rock arts in Igbaraoke rely on unproven oral history that is passed from one generation to another, which is subjected to mutilation.
the warrior first changed the rock to ordinary sand. He made the imprint and it is solidified. That was one aspect of the story. Another aspect of the story was that the man just hit the rock and made that imprint before leaving. Another story somebody told, a royal father in this place is no longer alive. He said the imprint was made by Portuguese explorer when they got there.
Beside the petroglyphs, Igbarauke is a community with lots of mysteries, and one of such is the AC NOD, a place where two people never meet in the olden days. One may also be surprised to know that the people of Igbarauke do not cook or roast corn for sale. It is a taboo for anyone to ride a horse, and history has it that Igbarauke has never been conquered by any other authority in a full-scale war.
We have one, I call it deity in Igbarauke, that is called Olua. And we will have another one in Igbarauke called Obalufon. In those good old days, during intertribal wars, this Olua deity is the one that will take corn, maize to our people in the war front. So they so much respect him for this, and he will not allow any Igbarauke son to die in the war front. When they are thirsty there, he's going there to give them water. When they want to eat, when they are hungry, he will give them this corn or maize to eat. And for days, they'll be satisfied with that corn without eating any other thing. And for respect for the product that is used to give to people in the war front, and that is why you say, no, you cannot boil or roast maize, in the town. Even plantain.
The history of Igbarauke is traced to the first major exodus of the people by the children of Oduduwa, scattered into different locations and territories that now comprise the minor and major towns in Yoruba land and beyond.
Àwa ìlú Igbarauke, àwa láti Ilé Ifẹ̀, láti ìdílé Ọlọ́fin. Bàbá wa Ọwá Àràjàká, orúkọ ìyàwó wọn ni Àrìgbó. Bọ́n ṣe bọ̀, wọ́n wá mú Ọ̀rúnmìlà dání gẹ́gẹ́ bí atọ́nà. Ọ̀rúnmìlà, wọ́n á mú aláyè rẹ̀ dání, Omi Arẹmọ. Wọ́n mú Ọlúwa dání, wọ́n mú Ọbànìfọ̀n dání. Wọ́n wá dé Iléṣà. Ọ̀rúnmìlà wá kó Fásánlẹ̀ pé ṣé ibi náà máa dé sí? Ọ̀rúnmìlà ní pé ibẹ̀ kọ́. Bọ́n ṣe lọ rè, bọ́n ṣe wá dé ìlú wa Líbí. Ọ̀rúnmìlà wá kó Fásánlẹ̀, wọ́n wá dé Fásí. A ní ká ti dúró síbí náà. Tá a bá dúró síbí, àmọ́ ṣíṣe, ṣùgbọ́n ibi dára. Bọ́n ṣe dúró sábẹ́ igi àìgbàrà lẹ́gbàá yẹn rè ni. Bọ́n ṣe débí lè lọ síwájú wá bẹ̀ sí bá wọn. Wọ́n bímọ àkọ́kọ́, wọ́n pe orúkọ ẹ̀ ní Ọlárílú, ọkùnrin ni. Wọ́n tún bí ọmọ kejì, ìyẹn ni Adéyìgbà, ọkùnrin náà ni. Nígbà tó ṣe, ọmọ méjèèjì wá bẹ̀ sí ṣàárẹ̀. Bọ́n ṣe gbé fá kalẹ̀, wọ́n bẹ̀ sí lùfá. Náà ní kàn lọ jáwé igi kan dúró sábẹ́rẹ̀. Wọ́n á jáwé igi yẹn pé kàn fi ṣègbó fún àwọn ọmọ. Bọ́n ṣe fi ṣègbó fún àwọn ọmọ méjèèjì, ara wa yá. Nígbà tó ṣe, bàbá wa kú, ìyá wa kú. Bọ́n ṣe wá rìn síwájú rè ni. Àtọ́tọ́ gbó lọ. Wọ́n á débi odò kan. Àwọn podò wọn lọ́lọ́ wínrín. Ìyẹn wà lọ́nà kẹ́rẹ́. Báyìí. Bọ́n ṣe débẹ̀, àtúbẹ̀ ṣe dáko, àtúbẹ̀ ṣe ṣọdẹ. Ìjà tún dé lọ́hùn. bí ìjà ṣe dé àwa ni yapa eléyé àgbà ọlárẹ̀lú ọba dúró sọ́hún eléyé ti bí ọba lọ síbí ìyẹn adéyígbà wọ́n wá fọrúkọ igi yẹn jẹ́ orúkọ igi agbára òun náà wá yí padà tí wọ́n á ṣe pé ẹni lọ sí agbára odò wọ́n wá sọ ní ìgbàrà odò eléyé tó wá sí agbára òkè wọ́n wá sọ ní ìgbàrà òkè agbára odò náà bẹ̀ sí tán tó fi jẹ́ pé à ń sọ ní ìgbàrà òkè ìgbàrà odò àkọ́jẹ́ ọba ní ìgbàrà odò òun ni ọlárẹ̀lú àkọ́jẹ́ ọba ní ìgbàrà òkè líbí òun ni adéyígbà bọ́n ṣe débí nìyẹn.
Igbaroke has been in existence since the 16th century. I think since then we've been relating with our fatherland, which is Ilefe. And when they were compiling the list of the towns that were beaded crowns, Igbaroke were among the 54 of us that were wearing beaded crown from Ife. We are number 37 in the 1902 Federal Government Gazette. We have 3 ruling houses in Igbaroke. They are the Ogidi ruling house, where I belongs. We have the Oberubese ruling house, and we have the Arogbon ruling house. Those are the 3 children given birth to by the Adeyigba, who was the first progenitor of Igbaroke Kingdom.
According to the National Archives of the Government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it shows that Owa of Igbara is one of the crowned kings of Yoruba land. During the historic exodus from Ile-Ife, the forefathers of Igbaroke went along with their deities, festivals and customs that had a lot of indelible cultural traits planted in their hearts. It is therefore not surprising that the major deities are still intact, and the mode of worship in these deities are still the way they were done in those days in Ile-Ife.
Doni la ń bọ Ọlúwa la ń bọ Ọbànìfọ̀n aláòrò Ọlúwa wà aláòrò Ọbànìfọ̀n wà aláòrò Aláyìrẹ́ wà bí kálukú ṣe wà lé ni.
The Oshomo is a chief priest of a town, and in those time, in the medieval time, he, the Oshomo, was the custodian of Obalufon. And we all know the history of Obalufon. Obalufon was the first Oba of Ife.
Igbaroke came alive again as the town was pervaded with excitement and carnival-like celebrations when the revered monarch, the paramount ruler and prescribed authority, Olowa of Igbaroke Kingdom, His Royal Majesty, Dr. Francis Adefarakomi Agbede III, celebrated the Ijeshu-Olowa Festival, also known as the New Yam Festival in Igbaroke.
Nígbà tí àwọn tó tẹbí idó wọ́n wá dúró síbí wọ́n bẹ̀ sí dáko olórí wọn yẹn bẹ̀ sí dá oko bó ṣe dá oko yẹn nǹkan tó fi sínú ebè tó kọ yẹn kò ju báyìí nígbà tó máa dọdún tó máa bẹ̀ sí wu ti iṣu yẹn tẹ́ni tí nǹkan tán lè wú ń bẹ̀ ó wá rí i pé iṣu yẹn jẹ́ nǹkan tó ṣe tó ìtóbi tí inú ẹ̀ wá dùn bí gbogbo àwọn tó yí ká ṣe tó ṣe pé gbogbo wọn nìyẹn pé ẹ̀yin ará bíi kò mà sí nǹkan téèyàn ṣe tí ò kì í ní èrè rí èrè nǹkan tí a gbé síbí bó ṣe jáde bí gbogbo wọn ṣe sọ di àṣà fún wa.
Ijeshu-Olowa is one of the festivals, one of the 26 festivals that we celebrate annually in Igbaroke, and then it's a tradition that has to be performed. It's a custom. It's part of the things that we do. And then from time immemorial, this thing has been, but the way Akabiesi all over the Obade Farakomia package it and give it more glamour and showcase certain cultural activities that we have to the world, you understand, has made many home and abroad to really participate in this yam festival.
Ijeshu Olowa, that is the time that Kabiesi will go to his farm formally to go and uproot his yam. Before today, Kabiesi cannot eat the new yam, and the chiefs cannot eat the new yam.
Just like putting a bite of a little bite of yam inside the soil, and it brings you a big tuber of yam. So it's something we need to celebrate. It's something we need to thank God for it. Something we need, because Ijeshu has been the main festival that has been celebrated in those days by our forefathers, when we don't have a lot of things to celebrate, because that was their main celebration in those days. Just to appreciate God for what God has done, for giving them food, for allowing rain and sun to shine on the soil to give them a bountiful harvest.
The festival begins at early hours of the day from the palace of Olowa as it steps out in grand style all-white regalia to embark on a walk to the farm to harvest the new yam. This walk by the Olowa is always accompanied by his Oloris, Omowaz, traditional title holders, residents of the town with diverse displays. While at the farm, His Royal Majesty performs the traditional rites as custom demands. He prays for the town, its indigents, residents and visitors. He also prays for the continuous progress and development of the town. The people of Igbarauke turn out in their multitudes in a joyous mood to show solidarity and cheer the Olowa of Igbarauke Kingdom on his return from Igbo Idashu with bountiful harvests of new yams. The celebration is characterized by different kind of activities and merry-making such as bike display, hunter dance, cultural displays among others. Without gainsaying, the celebration attracted even passerby as the people on transit stop over to behold the beauty and display of cultural heritage of Igbarauke. Igbarauke, a fast-growing town, rich in culture and tradition, is worthy of emulation as the festival attracts sons and daughters of Igbarauke from the diaspora together with their friends and well-wishers to celebrate Ijeshu Olowa Festival.
It's not been my first attempt. I was here last year for the same occasion. And I was so impressed with the turnout of our people. And I'm really pleased that the country is really advancing.
The unprecedented crowd that accompanies the Olowa to the farm is a show of love, an attestation to the name and title given to him by the good people of the town, meaning they want him on the throne.
You see, anybody okay? Kabiyesi is someone that really carries everybody along. His ascension to the throne has really united Igbaroke more than ever before. Majority of us here today, we are in Igbaroke because Kabiyesi ascended the throne, because he wants him. That's why the name Ilufemiloye was given to him. He's bringing everybody, home and abroad, together on the same table to plan and strategize how Igbaroke can move forward.
He has taken Igbaroke from the shore of just a local town to an international standard. When you see this king, you see a special aura that surrounds him.
The uniqueness of the New Yam Festival in Igbaroke is the royal procession led by Olowa himself from the farm through Iloro to Oja Obada, then to Ayetoro and the palace of Olowa of Igbaroke Kingdom.
By going to the farm, doing that myself, it shows that, well, telling God that, well, I appreciate you. So that he can give my people, myself and my people, more bountiful harvest every year.
On return to the palace, His Royal Highness and some of his entourage converge at Obaji Shrine in the palace arena to say more prayers and thank God for safe return and pray for more bountiful harvests in years to come. All dance in celebration of the New Yam Festival and feasts at the palace. But surprisingly, no one is seen eating yam. Olori, the Eyeshorun of Igbaroke, plays a major role during the Ijeshuolowa festival. In the evening, when the High Chief Ojoku and Oshom return from their various farms same day as the Olowa, the Eyeshorun welcomes them with a gift of kola nuts from His Royal Highness.
During the time of New Yam Festival, the Oshomo of Igbaroke will have to send a message, a mystery to the Olowa of Igbaroke to let him know that it's time for the New Yam Festival. And on that special day, he's the first person to eat the new yam. And then the drum behind you will have to sound. Once the drum sounds, the signal will be given. And the Olowa will know that it's time for him to eat the new yam. During the festival, in the first place, the Oshomo would have to go to the farm, and not himself. He has his own farm. The yam will come from the farm. And he goes, while the whole town were dancing and bringing his yam from the farm, the Oshomo goes and meet them at the middle of the road and celebrate and dance with them and come back into his shrine.
During the procession to Oshomo's compound, it was observed that the feet of the lead yam carrier stayed glued to the ground at the sight of our crew because we were seen as strangers who must leave for the procession to progress.
There are things that happens during such section. And what we do is that we had to consult the oracle, talk to our creator to allow this innocent girl to be able to perform the rite properly.
It is an age-long tradition and culture of the people of Igbaroke for the Olowa, the paramount ruler of the community, who must be the first person to eat from the new yam, which must be specially and secretly prepared by the Eyeshorun, the wife of the king. During
So after when we make all those dancing and singing, I left them to go inside to prepare kabisi soup.
In the evening of the same day, all Oloris of Agbede descents gather at the palace to prepare the first yam harvested by the king for everyone to eat. Thereafter, the yam is boiled, roasted, and pounded for the omowas by the Oloris.
Food they brought from the one they've cooked for the omowas is for, they are supposed to, tradition demands that they bring it to me. I will appraise it. That portion is for the obaji. Because the obaji, where we took the yam to, it has to even taste the pounded yam. So they have to pray on it as a custodian of culture and tradition of this community, and as the head of all the deities in the community. So they have to take it there for obaji.
Year after year, there has been significant improvements in the celebration of Ijeshu Olowa Festival, and its gains on the community cannot be underestimated. Thus, the need for both the federal and state governments to leverage on the advantages of such a festival by investing more on traditions and culture of the people, which teaches morals and help reduce social vices. This is the celebration of Ijeshu Olowa of Igbaraoke in its splendor and beauty. It's indeed our culture, our pride.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms." On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youth and civil society as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
Service of the NTA.
If I care, you care, and we'll all care. I share, you share, and we all share. It will be a